42, my libido's through the roof. I'm enough for 10 women. So you can't possibly be in my house in multiple houses.
Every year I get older, I'm like, what am I going to do?
What is going on?
I have to have sex every day and I can't.
But we got to get married.
Oh
we got to find a husband so we can just take them down every morning, every night. Even
because it doesn't used to be this way.
Yeah, let me take a sip. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I watched an hour and 15-minute interview between Joy Taylor and Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, so that way you didn't have to. Before we get started, let me say one thing. I've seen Dr. Cheyenne Bryant go viral over the last year or so. I did one video with Corey Holcomb reacting to her appearance on Cam Newton's podcast. And I said it then, and I'll repeat it now. That was like a 3-hour interview. I wasn't giving that lady 3 hours of my life. So outside of a few clips of hers here and there, I really don't know much about this woman, so not enough to formulate an opinion. But that has obviously changed after I've watched an hour of this nonsense. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant about relationships, sex desires, all types of crazy shit. Let's go.
He said, sign me up, right? So I at least let him know, this is who you're choosing, baby, because I don't want us to fail.
Right.
I don't want us to fail. And if I don't have the awareness of what I need, I can't expect you to show up and figure that out. Now, I do say this, that a partnership, even a friendship, is not about you coming healed and I'm coming healed,
right.
And then get your shit together.
No one is fully healed.
But these relationships nowadays are islands. Like, once you heal, Joy, then come to me. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm never going to be perfect. And so if you cannot help me heal the parts of me that you're going to be exposed to, I don't want no parts of you. Because your responsibility and my responsibility, even as friends, is to say, Joy, hold on. What's going on right now? Where did I trigger you at? We better than that, sis. What's up? Talk to me.
Being healed is something that's going to be a recurring theme in this clip. Being healed and working on myself and working on healing. And I absolutely disagree with this doctor right here. The notion that someone that you're interested in, let's say you guys are in the talking stage or about to begin a relationship, it's that person's responsibility to stick with you while you're healing, meaning you have a bunch of trauma that you haven't dealt with yet. That's not someone else's responsibility. You go get therapy, you go get healed, you work on your shortcomings, then you try to foster those relationships with other people. Making a statement that it should be mandatory for someone that you're dating for them to help you out of your healing is absurd to me.
Okay, so let me know what that trigger word was so I understand what word not to use and I understand what your boundaries are because I care about this relationship. And I don't want us ever to have to go to war. So what I need to do, let's have this conversation.
Girl, you just said so much though, but okay, hold on. I don't know where I want to start. Well, let's work backwards.
Go ahead.
How do you advise someone to be transparent about their traumas, to be open and authentic to the point that they feel comfortable, but not trauma bomb with someone?
Right. And so comfort is your responsibility. No one can make you feel comfortable. I'm choosing you because I've already felt a comfort in you. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, if I choose you, I trust you. If I don't trust you, I'm not choosing you. So once I choose you and I see that you want to be chosen obviously back and it's reciprocal, then I'm going wide open. That could be a week, a day, a couple weeks. I don't think it takes a month. That's too long. I think
to be transparent with someone?
Mm-hmm. About how, let me tell you why, because
what kind of transparent?
Transparent, let's say about the abandoned little girl that's in me.
Okay.
Once,
I think after a couple weeks, if you're feeling somebody, you need to be honest.
If we go on a couple dates and because we're grown at this point, if we lock in chemistry, we go on 2 or 3 dates, we almost start to see each other as much as we can.
Right.
And that's kind of like the trajectory of dating, and there's real chemistry, right?
But also that's a good thing to put on it though, is we are grown.
Right.
Like, I don't know if this conversation necessarily applies to a 23-year-old.
Yeah, I did at 23.
You did at 23?
At 23. My first engagement was 23. And not only did I verbally say it, but I think at 23, my actions more showed it because I didn't have enough self-awareness at 23 to say, listen, I'm an abandoned little girl and I'm going to look crazy as hell half the time.
Right.
Because at 23, I just was figuring out that I had abandonment and I'm figuring out what unconditional love looks like. And he's trying to figure that out with me. So my behaviors really exhibited abandonment and trauma. And he was just like this really good guy from this really great family. And, not that he was perfect, but he didn't have as much trauma as my butt had. And he was just like, look, I'm just trying to love the hell out of you and facilitate you. And I'm not leaving you. And I was just like, rah, rah, rah. And he's just like, but I love you. I'm not going nowhere, but I'm here. But I still want to marry you. But I still want to be with you. But I'm here. I'll sleep on the door. I sleep on the balcony. I'm here. Like, I'm not leaving. If you lock the door, I'm sleeping at the door. Like, and this is D1 college football player. This ain't no just regular little, not with all due respect, little L7. This is a dude who, black and white dude, handsome. I mean, he's in demand. Women want him. He's not just some regular Joe Blow. But he was what I needed at that time, because I needed to have somebody, Joy, who I knew or who God knew could prove to me that abandonment wasn't the only way.
And you notice once she took a shot at Squares, to me, Squares are just regular dudes. He took a shot at them, but that's okay. Again, this interview was over an hour long. I had to edit this down after I listened to the entire thing. My point is that she's already mentioned it a couple times, and she's going to mention it a lot during the whole interview. But she talks about being that abandoned little girl, that girl that was abandoned at one time. Look, man, we all have trauma from childhood. Some people's worse than others. I'll give her that. My parents weren't married, but my father was always in my life. Neither one of my parents ever did drugs or alcohol, and I never had the problems that came along with those type of situations. But at some point, especially a woman that's in her 40s, I know for Dr. Cheyenne, and I think Joy Taylor is about to turn 40 soon, and as a man in his 40s, you can't walk around using that as a scapegoat. You were abandoned when you were a child. At some point, you have to just let that go. That's just my 2
And that
cents.
somebody can stick it through. Somebody can be there with me, that really does exist. Even if we didn't make it to forever, I needed to know that somebody had my back. No matter how crazy I acted, somebody loved me unconditionally, and that unconditional love was real. How did I know he loved me unconditionally? Because of the advice that I'm giving you and everyone else here. I took my chest and I opened up and said, bro, look at it. Look at my scars. Look at my wounds. Look at my heart. It's shattered. It's broken. Look at my vulnerability. There's abuse over here. There's trauma over here. There's heartbreak over here. There's neglect over here. I'm crazy as hell over here. I'm going to be insecure over here. I'm going to fuck around and completely dismantle you. I'm finna emasculate you over here. What's up? You want it? Are you taking this ride or not? I don't want nobody with me who ain't gonna take a ride with me for who I am. If you can't ride with me for everything I came with, bruh.
Why is it a man's responsibility to have to deal with all that? And I was also going to say, why didn't you marry the dude if he was all that? But of course, rest in peace to the Godfather. A lot of our women are engagement queens.
I think that he did that. To me, the biggest betrayal that anyone can do to me is to take vulnerability that I have given them, whether that's me confessing something about my past or letting them into my traumas or bringing them into my life, and then they use that to hurt me. That will make me into the craziest bitch you've ever seen in your fucking life. And it just like makes my head spin around. And I don't know if I can afford to have somebody do that, because I might really like crash out.
Let me ask you this. How do you know that you're safe with me if you don't give me anything to protect?
Okay. You spitting a little bit.
No, she died.
I mean, you can give a little bit.
That's fine.
Right?
You can
give a little bit and see how they handle that.
You can go at your pace. But the other thing is, and I package this up with so much love, so just catch it with love first, okay? When they took advantage of you, when they used your beauty, your vulnerability, it's your trauma, your pain, your vulnerability is it's so beautiful. The right person is going to be like, oh my God, like you went through that? Like, I love you. Like you, oh my God, I get a chance to lick your wounds. I get a chance to be intimate with that. I get a chance to help you heal on that. I get an opportunity to take this brokenness, and I get the one that gets to say, I put that back together. I did that. Like, that's a stand-up man. That's a stand-up woman. That's a stand-up person. We all looking for that.
Right.
You know, what we lead with is what we value most. And what we value most is where our safety is. So, like, I used to lead with being more confrontational, because for me, I was safe in confrontation.
Yeah.
Because I got confrontation as a young woman and allowed me to externalize my pain. And so I wish you would say something so I could light this place up. Because my pain needs a place to come out.
Right.
So say something. Say something so I can light it up. Or we can argue, or we can get physical. That's how I end up kicked out of Los Angeles Unified School District, because I needed to externalize my pain. So I was walking down a hallway in high school wishing and hoping somebody said something, because I needed a place to put my pain. So what's up? But as I work through my stuff, I'm not confrontational anymore. No.
But what do you say to someone who says they aren't abandoning them because they have some presence in their life and they support them financially?
I think that, you know, even to Cam, he said this on his podcast. He said, Doc, in one of his vulnerable moments, he said, Doc, I'm pretty much doing all that I can do, you know? And I said, no, yeah, absolutely. Once you create something, then you do all of what you can do. Doesn't mean that the kids are doing. I came from a blended family. I'm not a divorcee. I'm not a baby mama. I come from the hood. I'm educated. I beat every single statistic that the hood lays out. I beat all of them and will continue to be. That's why I fight so strong for our community because I beat them. But I know what it felt like to be in the system and have no way out to beat it.
And it's weird she talks about our community because at the beginning of this interview, she said she was Latina or Latino. That's just weird.
So you can't tell me that you can't do it. You can't tell me that it's not possible. I'm not going for that, period, at all. I'm going to push. I'm keeping my foot on the gas because I know what it feels like to be in an environment of drugs, abuse, trauma, and the hood, an environment that is unsafe, and make different decisions. So I'm not going for it. Now, if you've already made those decisions, no, you're not doomed, but you got to learn how to reprogram. You got to learn how to go from brokenness to peace. You got to take your broken pieces, make peace from it, and do something different. You can't sit up and say, well, I did what I did. I'm giving the best I can, and then continue to do the same rhetoric. It's just not going to work. Why
I actually agree with her right
do
there.
you think our community is the brokest community that there is? Because we don't family. We don't commune. That's why, period. We are the brokest people on earth, not in the United States of America, in the world. Because we're not marrying. Because we have 5 houses that are homeless. And if you go further with even saying you dating 5 women, well, you can't even satisfy 5 women as one man. I'm 42. My libido's through the roof. I'm enough for 10 women. So you can't possibly be in my house in multiple houses.
Every year I get older, I'm like, what am I going to do?
What is going on?
I have to have sex every day, and I can't.
We got to get married.
Oh
we
my
got
God,
to find a husband so we can just take
him.
him down every morning,
I
every
know.
night. Even
Because
yeah.
it doesn't used to
We
be
need
this
it.
way.
Yeah,
I'm
let
like,
me
what's
take a
something
sip.
wrong
Oh
with my
Lord
hand?
have mercy.
Warm in here.
A couple things. She mentioned that somewhere out there, there's 5 broken homes. And she says one man can't satisfy 5 women. First of all, ma'am, you don't know that. And then she compared that man to herself, or that man's situation with the 5 women to herself. Me and my libido, I'm enough for 10 women. Ma'am, that's just you talking. And that goes to something else that I've said on this channel since I started it. Women always think they're great in bed. That's not really the point of this conversation, but they all think that they have that killer, snapback, drain your balls with one stroke type of kitty cat, all right? Another thing, Joy Taylor says, yeah, I wish I could have sex all day. And I've said that repeatedly on my channel as well. Once women are over the age of 35, 40, 45, 50, and they get into that premenopausal, man, women are the biggest perverts because that's when their sexual prime is, opposed to men. Ours is in our 20s. And women their age, 40, 50 years old, are addicted to eggplant. They want the D.
Got very hot right now.
Very relatable. I have a theory about this. I don't want to say it's a theory. It's just my opinion on the situation that you just laid out. I do not understand why people view having a child as less of a commitment
Then marriage.
I agree.
I don't understand
Marriage.
it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. And when people talk to me about it, I'm like, you're speaking another language. That doesn't make any sense to me. You're making a human person. You are forever joining DNA with that child. Even if you are not present, even if you've never even met the child, that child exists somewhere. And your energy and DNA and life is in that human.
Yep.
I actually agree with Joy right there.
You can get divorced.
And you can't undo it.
You cannot
can't
undo it.
that
You can
at
never
all.
you can
At
never
all.
unparent yourself. You're always a parent.
Agree.
Now the pushback is, well, you can be an ex-wife. I am an ex-wife. No matter what I say, I've been married. Like I've had the paperwork, went to the courthouse. I've got the 250 people watched. It was a thing. Like I've been married. I can't undo that.
Right.
That person is not present in my life in any capacity. They
It
exist
doesn't have to be.
somewhere,
Doesn't
but they
have
don't
to be.
have to be.
No.
And even if you don't have to be a parent, you can never say to someone, I didn't make a child. It doesn't, my brain doesn't work that way. I do not understand how anyone can say anything different. Do you feel the same?
Absolutely. I would definitely marry somebody way before I have a child with them. Period. I would call off a wedding before I have a child with you.
Of course.
My thing is I won't have a child until I'm married. I'm not divorcing my husband, and all my kids are going to come from you. And so if it's you, know that 1 or 4 are all going to be from you, with you. I'm not divorcing you. So
I feel the exact same
we're just
way.
going to have to sit at the table
We have to figure this shit out.
figure out what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. But once the
it's from this-
conversation
it's
goes
not to
there,
us part. Yeah.
disconnect.
If we have
I'm not
children,
talking
no.
about this. I'm going to work out. Call me when the conversation is, when I'm not negotiating this.
No.
I'm not doing it. Period.
I agree. I 100% agree.
And that's the number one thing for me that makes me so apprehensive about choosing somebody. Because we obviously both have a plethora of options. That's common sense. If I see, and this is where my abandonment is. This is where my abandonment is, y'all. If I see a mustard seed, that small, smaller than a mustard seed, inclination that you even thought, look like you want to pivot for anything that happens, Sabotage, I'm out of here.
At least she admits to sabotage. I just happen to her age when she's talking about her future husband having all her children. He's 42 years old right now. Like, you better get on that like yesterday.
Out of here. If I can't feel that you are riding through any and everything, and I'm talking about everything, you can call it toxic, dysfunctional, unhealthy, you gonna ride through everything, I'm not walking down no aisle. We can have a great companionship, we can travel, we can be best friends, we can have great lovemaking. I will baby honey daddy you to death. I may cook and bring you food. You can do the same for me. I'm not doing it. Because marriage for me means a family. And I'm not co-parenting with anybody outside of my marriage. There's co-parenting within a marriage. I'm not doing that outside of my marriage.
I could not agree more. I have no notes.
And the men who don't cheat, because there are men who don't cheat, the men who don't cheat, they are the men who are completely plugged into all of their wife. Her trauma, her wounds, her cellulite, her yeast infections. I'm naming everything. Transparency. He's plugged in. He's so invested in this woman that he's so hyper-focused on the investment in her. Where space does he have to invest into anything over here?
And she loses me right here. And to me, this is that putting a woman on a pedestal. If I'm a man successful, has things going on with myself, and I'm with a woman, I'm focused so much on this woman, and she's getting all my time and energy, that leaves zero time for my purpose. And yes, I believe a man's purpose, even if he's married, should be first, his family being an extremely close second. Don't get me mistaken. But that's that pedestaling of a woman, and this is where your focus should be at all time. I can't win the game if I'm not playing. I can't play if I'm spending all of my time idolizing you. No, I disagree.
Right. And when us women, don't hold men accountable to plug into what we have to plug into, which is showing them what we got, then guess what? They don't get the chance to plug in. So for me, you would never get the opportunity to date me, let alone lay with me and be inside of me. And you haven't got the opportunity to see everything that comes with this good, this crazy, and this bad. No, bro, you finna roll out the whole red carpet. You gonna roll out the pistol. I need to know, how are you going to help me heal this? And how are you going to protect this? Because provision isn't just pulling out a pistol because somebody's robbing us. Provision and protecting me is, do you protect my heart? Are you worried about not hurting me? Are you worried about what's in that phone or what you do at the bar when you're traveling? Are you so concerned that you leave the dinner or the cigar lounge to make sure that you're in at a certain time, not because I control you, but because you want to protect my heart in a way that you know that's the right thing to do. And I ain't told you to do anything. All I said was good night, baby. And 10 minutes later, you saying, babe, I'm in the room. We're not disconnected, and I don't want you inside of me so you can feel my vagina. If you can't feel my heart, you can't feel my spirit, you can't feel my mind. I don't need an insert. I'm good. I'm grown. I can reach orgasm all by myself a couple seconds.
What?
I am good.
Right.
So, and we do well. I'm in a multi-million-dollar home. I'm driving Bentleys and G-Wagons, and I'm a little girl from the hood, so I'm not bragging. I'm just saying where I came from. You can buy the Birkin and buy the Rolls Royce and take me on trips. I do want that, by the way.
A rich woman who already has it, let her tell it, but still wants to be spoiled financially by a man.
But you're going to do some other things. You're going to wake things up in me and activate things in me that make me fall in love with myself.
Yeah.
And so you are going to make love to the God in me. You're going to make love to my wounds and my pain. Period. You're going to be inside of me and say things to me that don't just get me off sexually, but have my heart in my stomach that goes, oh my God, you know I got you. I love your wounds. I love your trauma. You mine. I got, what? That's an internal orgasm. At this point, I'm like, oh, you don't even got to stroke me no more. So that's foreplay. Foreplay for me is, let me pray over you. Foreplay for me is, it may be too soon for us to have sex because I want to make sure you're in love with me before I penetrate your body. That's foreplay for me. At that point, you don't have to pursue. I'll be throwing my pheromones at you in ways that you won't even be able to catch. You know how says sign me up.
I'm definitely able to formulate an opinion. And I think Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, while of course attractive for a woman her age, is definitely kind of a crazy person. And the way that she talks, normal doctors don't talk like that. As far as orgasming and things like that, I think she's a woman with a lot of trauma. I believe it's extremely weird for her think that people will find this, maybe it's just projection, but people will find trying to heal other people's trauma is an attractive thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's nothing more than a headache, but maybe that's what she's done in the past. Maybe she is in those toxic relationships, knowing it was toxic, but thinking that she could change a man, and maybe that was her motivation to stay with that person regardless of the toxic situation. I don't know. I'm not a goddamn therapist. I don't claim to be a doctor though. Forgive me. But some of the things she was saying just makes me seem like this woman is kind of crazy. Every now and then she'll make a decent point, but she also seems a bit crazy. And I'm thinking about some other clips that I've seen before on the Coffee Pod with Shisha Zed. I also think that she's one of those women that creates a lot of situations in her head and inserts that into a conversation as if it's a possibility or really takes place. When she was talking about you being at the cigar bar, she called you to say goodnight, wanted you to come home without telling you to come home. 10 minutes later, you're in the room. What are you talking about? And even the part about her having children, her husband having all her children by him and only having children with him and never having to co-parent the situation. The Google, chick, you're 42 years old. You'll be 43 this year. Forget 4 quarters, ma'am. You were in overtime. It's only a couple minutes left as far as that situation happening. And I hope she does find someone, marries and have children and be happy. I ain't no diabolical hater or anything like that, but just, man. Now I see people have always been looking at her kind of crazy after watching that entire interview. You guys let me know what you think. Oh, one last thing too. The channel that I got this clip from is Too Personal with Taylor Rooks and Joy Taylor. Well, that part don't even matter. Do Better Squad. Fall out.